You're not here by coincidence. Something inside you is starting to wake up. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That quiet tension beneath your skin, that strange pull, like something inside you is waking up, something you can't fully explain, and maybe something you're a little afraid to face. Because this isn't normal. The way you think, the way you see through people, the way you feel energy shift in a room before anyone even speaks, that's not coincidence. And deep down you know it. You've tried to ignore it, tried to silence it, tried to convince yourself you're just overthinking. But what if you're not? What if the discomfort, the isolation, the feeling that you don't belong anywhere isn't a flaw, but a signal, a warning? Because something inside you is changing, and once it fully awakens, there's no going back. This isn't about becoming better. This isn't about fitting in. This is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And here's the truth no one will say out loud. Not everyone is meant to wake up. Not everyone can handle what you're about to discover. Because the moment you tap into that hidden power, you stop being controllable. You stop being predictable. You become dangerous. So the real question is, are you ready to meet the version of yourself you've been running from? But what if your power isn't just a gift? You've always felt different, like you don't belong anywhere. You've always felt it, that quiet distance between you and everyone else. Like you're there, but never really part of it. You can sit in a room full of people, hear the laughter, see the connections, and still feel completely alone. Not because you want to be, but because something about you just doesn't fit. People misunderstand you. They misread your silence as weakness, your depth as overthinking, your awareness as distance. They tell you to be normal, to stop thinking so much, to just go with the flow. But you've tried that, haven't you? And every time you did, it felt like you were betraying something inside yourself. Because you're not like them. And deep down, you've always known it. That feeling of being an outsider, it's not new. It's been with you since the beginning. In conversations where you felt out of place. In moments where you saw things others didn't. In the way your mind kept asking questions no one else seemed to care about. It's exhausting, feeling like you have to shrink yourself just to be accepted. But what if that's the lie? What if you were never meant to fit in? What if the very thing that makes you feel isolated is the same thing that sets you apart for something greater? Because not everyone is built to see beyond the surface. Not everyone is meant to question, to feel deeply, to notice what others ignore. That kind of awareness, it comes with a cost. Loneliness, misunderstanding, silence. But it also comes with something else. Power. A hidden potential that doesn't reveal itself in comfort, only in separation. Only in those moments where you feel like you don't belong anywhere, because you were never meant to stay where you are. You weren't overlooked. You were set aside, watched, prepared, shaped through every moment of isolation, every misunderstanding, every time you felt like you had to walk alone. So maybe, just maybe, you're not lost. You're being positioned. And everything you thought was holding you back is actually pushing you toward who you were always meant to become. Because what makes you different is what makes you dangerous. There were moments you held back without even knowing why. And here's the part no one tells you. It's not just that you've been misunderstood by others. You've been hiding from yourself. Because on some level, you already know there's something powerful inside you. You've felt it in flashes, in moments where your intuition was too accurate, your presence was too strong, your words carried more weight than you intended. And that scared you, not because it's evil, but because it's intense. So what did you do? You softened yourself. You held back your thoughts. You dimmed your energy in rooms where you knew you could outshine everyone. Not out of weakness, but out of fear. Fear of hurting people. Fear of being too much. Fear that if you fully stepped into your power, You might lose control of it. So you became careful. You started filtering everything, your words, your reactions, your true opinions. You learned to read the room and adjust, to make others comfortable even when it meant silencing something real inside you. And over time that became your normal. But deep down, there's a tension. Because suppressing power doesn't make it disappear. It builds pressure. That's why sometimes you feel overwhelmed for no clear reason. Why your emotions can feel heavier than they should. Why there's this constant sense that you're holding something back. Something that wants to come out. And maybe the truth is this. You're not afraid of being powerless. You're afraid of what happens when you stop holding back. Because stepping into who you really are means standing out. It means not everyone will understand you. It means some people may walk away. And it means facing a version of yourself that doesn't shrink, doesn't apologize, and doesn't ask for permission. That version of you. It's not weak. It's not uncertain. It's controlled intensity. It's awareness with direction. It's power that's finally been acknowledged. But you've kept it locked away, not because you can't handle it, but because you were never taught how to trust it. And now that's the edge you're standing on. Keep suppressing it and stay acceptable. Or face it and become undeniable. Deep down, you already felt what you're capable of. Not everyone wants you to realize who you really are. But it didn't start with you. Long before you began holding yourself back, something taught you to. It was subtle at first. The moment you spoke your mind as a child and got corrected. The time you showed too much emotion and were told to calm down. The questions you asked that made people uncomfortable, so they shut you down instead of answering. Little by little, you learned a dangerous lesson. Stay quiet, stay small, stay acceptable. Because the world around you isn't built for people who think deeply, feel intensely, and see too clearly. That kind of presence disrupts things. It challenges systems. It makes people question what they've been comfortable believing. And most people don't want to be challenged. So what do? They label you. They minimize you. They try to fit you into something easier to understand. Too sensitive. Too intense. Too different. But those labels were never about you. They were about control. Because when someone can't understand your depth, they try to reduce it. When they can't match your awareness, they try to dismiss it. And when they feel your potential, they instinctively try to contain it. Not always out of malice, but out of fear. Fear of what they can't predict. Fear of what they can't influence. Fear of what doesn't follow the rules. And environments work the same way. Schools that reward obedience more than curiosity. Workplaces that value conformity over originality. Social circles that quietly pressure you to blend in rather than stand out. It's all a system of quiet resistance, not loud, not obvious, but constant. A pressure that nudges you back into the mold every time you start stepping out of it. And if you're not aware of it, you start believing it's just the way things are. But it's not. It's conditioning. A structure designed to keep things predictable, manageable, controlled. And someone like you. You were never meant to be controlled. That's why you feel the tension. That's why something inside you keeps pushing back, even when you try to ignore it. Because no matter how much the world tries to shape you, there's a part of you that refuses to be reduced. A part that sees through the limitations. A part that knows this isn't where your story ends. And the more you start to recognize that hidden resistance around you, the less power it has over you. Because once you wake up, everything changes. You've felt it, that sudden surge of energy, confidence, or knowing. And yet, despite all of that, there have been moments, haven't there? Moments where everything just clicked. Where you didn't hesitate, didn't overthink, didn't doubt yourself for a second. You just knew what to say, knew what to do, knew what was about to happen before it even unfolded. And in those moments you felt different. Calm but sharp, focused but effortless. Like something inside you had taken over, not in a chaotic way, but in a way that felt exactly right. That's your intuitive power. It's not loud, it doesn't beg for attention. It's quiet precisely, and almost unsettling in how accurate it can be. Think about it. The times you read someone perfectly without them saying a word. The gut feeling that told you to walk away, and later you realized how right you were. The rare moments where you stopped holding back, and everything you did just worked. That wasn't luck. That was you unfiltered. That was your inner strength stepping forward. The version of you that isn't second, guessing every move, isn't shrinking to make others comfortable, isn't asking for permission to exist. And when that part of you shows up, you're not just better, you're unstoppable. Not in a loud, aggressive way, but in a grounded, undeniable way. Like nothing can shake you, like distractions lose their power, like fear doesn't fully reach you anymore. And the strange part, those moments feel more real than your everyday life. Almost like that's who you actually are. And everything else, the doubt, the hesitation, the overthinking, that's what was added later. That's what covered it up. Because your natural state isn't confusion. It's clarity. It's awareness. It's control. You've already felt it, even if only for seconds at a time. And that's what makes this different. You're not chasing something you've never experienced. You're remembering something you've already been. That wasn't random. That was you. Power like yours doesn't come without consequences. But there's a reason you don't stay in that state for long. A reason you pull yourself back, even when you feel that clarity rising, because the moment you step fully into that version of yourself, something else comes with it. Wait. Not the kind you can see, but the kind you feel. Because power isn't just freedom. It's responsibility. And deep down you've sensed that. You've felt how intense you can become when you stop holding back. How sharp your words can be. How deeply you can affect people, sometimes without even trying. And that realization, it's unsettling. Because what if you go too far? What if you can't turn it off? What if stepping into your full power changes you in ways you can't undo? So you hesitate. Not because you're weak, but because you understand the consequences. You've seen glimpses of what you're capable of. Moments where your presence shifted everything. Where your decisions carried weight. Where your instincts were so precise, it almost felt dangerous to trust them completely. And that's the part no one talks about. Everyone glorifies power, but no one prepares you for the pressure that comes with it. The pressure of knowing you can't go back to being unaware. The pressure of seeing things others don't, and realizing it's now on you to act, to choose, to lead yourself differently. Because once you see clearly, ignorance is no longer an option. And that can feel isolating, even heavy. There's also the fear of losing control. Not in some chaotic, destructive way, but in the sense that once you let that side of you fully emerge, it won't tolerate the life you've been settling for. It won't let you stay small. It won't let you ignore what you know. It won't let you pretend anymore. And that means change. Real change. The kind that breaks routines, shifts relationships, and forces you to outgrow environments that once felt familiar. So part of you resists. Not because you don't want the power, but because you understand the cost of becoming who you really are. And standing right here, in this tension, you feel it, don't you? That pull in both directions. One side of you wants to stay safe, predictable, in control of what you already know. And the other side is something deeper, stronger, uncomfortable but real. And it's not asking anymore, it's waiting. For you to decide whether you're going to keep containing it, or finally face what happens when you don't. And if you don't control it, it will control you. You were never meant to be normal, because your power was meant to change something big. The closer you get to your true self, the harder life becomes. And this is where everything changes. Because at some point, you have to ask yourself a question that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Why you? Why do you feel things this deeply when others don't? Why do you see patterns, truths, and intentions so clearly when most people miss them? Why have you been pushed into isolation, discomfort, and constant inner conflict? That's not random. That's not bad luck. That's design. Because power like this isn't given casually. It doesn't just appear in someone who would waste it, ignore it, or misuse it without awareness. The very fact that you've been careful, that you've held back, that you've questioned yourself, that's proof you were meant to carry something greater. You weren't meant for a life of blind repetition. You weren't meant to follow paths that don't feel real to you. You weren't meant to stay asleep. You were meant to see, and seeing changes everything. It separates you. It isolates you. It forces you to confront truths most people will spend their lives avoiding. But it also prepares you. Every moment you felt like an outsider, every time you were misunderstood, every phase where you felt like you were breaking apart instead of moving forward. That wasn't you falling behind. That was you being shaped, refined, stripped of illusions so you could recognize what's real. Because destiny doesn't choose people who are comfortable. It chooses people who can endure. People who can stand alone without losing themselves. People who can carry awareness without collapsing under it. People who can hold power and not let it control them. That's why you've been tested the way you have. Not to break you, but to reveal you. To bring you face to face with a truth that's been there all along. You're not here to blend in. You're here to become. And that feeling you've had your entire life, that quiet sense that there's something more, something waiting, something unfinished, that's not imagination, that's recognition. Because on some level you've always known. You're not just different, you're chosen. Not in a way that makes you better than others, but in a way that gives you responsibility, a role, a path that won't always be easy, won't always be understood, but will always be real, and the power inside you. It was never an accident. It was placed there, because you're the one who can awaken it. The only question left now is, will you keep doubting it, or finally step into the reason you were given it in the first place? Because something is testing you. You're standing at the edge of transformation, and now you're at the edge. Not the edge of failure, the edge of becoming. Everything you've felt, everything you've gone through, it's all been leading here. To this moment where you can't keep pretending anymore, because something inside you has reached its limit. The silence, it's breaking. The hesitation, it's cracking. The version of you that kept shrinking, adjusting, hiding, it's collapsing. And you can feel it. That pressure in your chest. That restless energy that won't let you stay the same. That voice getting louder, clearer, harder to ignore. This is the breakthrough. Not soft, not comfortable, not easy, but real. Because stepping into your power was never meant to feel safe. It was meant to feel like this. Intense, unfamiliar, almost overwhelming. Like you're shedding a version of yourself that can't come with you anymore. And here's the truth. You can't go back. Not after everything you've seen. Not after everything you've felt. Not after realizing that the life you were trying to fit into was never built for who you are. So stop holding it back. Stop dimming it. Stop questioning whether you're too much. You are not too much. You are uncontained. And the moment you stop fighting that, the moment you stop trying to control every part of yourself out of fear, something shifts. You don't lose control. You gain alignment. Your thoughts become sharper. Your presence becomes stronger. Your actions become intentional. You stop reacting to life and start moving through it with purpose. This is what it means to step into who you are. Not perfect, not flawless, but awake, fully aware of your power and no longer afraid of it. Because that power was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. So this is your moment, right here, to stop running, to stop doubting, To stop hiding behind versions of yourself that were built to survive, not to thrive. And choose. Choose to rise into the identity you've been resisting. Choose to trust what's been calling you this whole time. Choose to become the person you were always meant to be. Not later. Not someday now. Because the truth is, you don't become the chosen one. You realize you always were. But you have to make a choice. If you've made it this far, then this message was meant for you. So this is where it all comes together, not in noise, not in chaos, but in a quiet, undeniable realization. You were never losing control. You were learning how to hold it. All that fear, all that hesitation, it wasn't weakness. It was awareness without direction, power without understanding. And now you see it for what it is. This isn't something that controls you. This isn't something you need to run from. This is something you command. Because real power isn't loud. It doesn't explode. It doesn't need to prove itself. It's steady, focused, intentional. It knows when to act and when to stay still. When to speak and when silence carries more weight. When to step forward and when to walk away. That's control. And that's what you're stepping into. But don't mistake this for something easy. Because with clarity comes responsibility. You don't get to be unaware anymore. You don't get to pretend you don't see what you see. Feel what you feel, know what you know. You carry that now. The ability to choose differently, to move differently, to be different. Not for validation, not to prove anything to anyone, but because it's who you are. And yes, it may set you apart. Yes, it may challenge you. Yes, it may force you to walk paths others won't understand. But it will also do something else. It will align you with your purpose. A purpose that isn't given to you by the world, but revealed through who you become when you stop holding yourself back. So believe in that. Not blindly, not arrogantly, but with a grounded certainty that you've earned through everything you've endured. Because you've felt the doubt, you've faced the fear, you've stood at the edge of yourself and didn't turn away. And that matters. More than you realize. So from this moment on, walk with awareness, move with intention, hold your power, don't hide it. And remember this. You are not here by accident. You are not what the world tried to reduce you to. And you are not meant to live a life that feels small. You are here to step into something greater. But that greatness isn't just a gift. It's a responsibility. And now that you see it, the only thing left is to live like you believe it.